Hey guys, GPC Powerlifter Hamish Coulter from New Zealand here. I'm not a great deadlifter, I never have been and I possibly never will be. A 325 kilogram pull is pretty middle of the road for an under 125 kilo lifter on the world stage. But it is getting better and better. In fact, I've put 45 kilos on my deadlift, which is 100 pounds over the last 2 years. And I'm going to tell you a couple of tips on how I did that. My deadlift was always lagging compared to my squat and bench. Partly to do with my genetic makeup. I've got short stumpy arms, I've got quad dominant legs. It was partly to do with my form. I brought bad habits over from my bodybuilding days, and partly to do with injuries that I've had to my glutes, my back and the abdominal hernia. But through a series of changes it has come up considerably. Now I'm not going to tell you how to correctly deadlift. My form is nowhere near perfect. You can research some YouTube videos or read some books if you want form guides. But I will give you the top 5 things that have made a difference for me. Number 1, stop-start reps. Coming from a bodybuilding background, I wasn't really used to 1 rep maxes. It was all about getting the maximum muscle activation and moving heaps of weight around. My deadlift set numbers were pretty impressive. 500 pounds for 15, 260 kilos for 10, but they were all touch and go. I wasn't building up my strength from the ground. I dropped my ego and every single rep in training became stop-start. My strength off the floor skyrocketed after I started doing this, as you would imagine. So if this is what you are doing, stop doing it today. Yeah, I know some of the super elite train will touch and go, but unless you're already elite, I wouldn't recommend it. Number 2, deficits. Yeah, we all hate deficits, but the speed of the floor they generate is crazy. After 6 weeks of deficits, pulling from floor height feels like block pulls. I recommend starting your comp prep programs with deficits being the main pull movement for the first 4 weeks at least. Yeah, you'll dread those sessions, but once you get past them, you'll be a much better lifter. Number 3, getting into the right start position. I used to worry so much about my feet position, shin angle, timing of the pull, that I'd be watching it all as I pulled. So my head would be down, my back would be curled over, my chest was down. This is a horrible way to pull, both for strength and injury prevention. We all know the 45-degree back angle, chest up, head up mantra, but don't always know the cues to be in that position. For me, it kind of clicked when my friend Jackson told me to think of it as flaring my lats like I'm doing a lat pull down. In practice, this means when I'm in the right position, I'm flaring my lats down into my belt, my chest is up, my head is looking straight ahead. It throws my center of gravity slightly backwards, and I'm just standing up with the bar as opposed to pulling it up. It took a while to adapt, but when it did, it was a real epiphany moment. Number 4, breathing. Filling your lungs with a big breath helps you get as tight as you can. The timing of this breath is key. I found taking it just before I drop my hips for the final time before I pull is optimum for me. Play around and see what works for you. Number 5 is mobility and activation. I used to do minimal warm-ups and would always find getting into position a struggle, and my strength was inconsistent. Now I spend at least 20 minutes going through various mobility exercises and stretches. Each session is different, the variation helps keep it from going stale. I also try to activate my glutes prior to each deadlift session. Activating glutes can be the difference between having a great session and having a bad one, and is a really common flaw for many lifters. It can be as simple as some glute ham raises. Well, my favourite I got from court. Just deadlift a kettlebell for a few sets. Just a light 25 kilo kettlebell is fine. Just make sure you can feel your glutes doing the work. It's amazing how much difference your pull feels when your glutes are firing. My current goal is work on my upper back tightness. It folds over a bit just as I get the bar off the ground on my heavy sets. This is also a really common fault, so that's what we're working on the next few weeks. Hopefully it pays off in a new PB at the World Champs. I'll let you guys know if I fix this problem and how I did it. Obviously nothing is going to change overnight, but given time and trying out new methods and programs will review gains one by one. Realizing what you've been doing isn't working anymore, incorporate a new technique, new program, and seeing it through is definitely key. So I hope some of this information helped you guys. Thanks a lot for listening, and tune in for my next video, which will be on bench press tips.